Hey, this is Pierre de la Côte speaking. I wanted to come back on Teams meeting experience because I see a lot of people having issues, and I just want to highlight a few things that are really important. So first, if you're new to Teams, explore this menu. So here you have all the menu. So on the left side, it changed recently. You can switch to the way you want to represent the meeting with a gallery, or and you can change the scene here. There are several scenes available depending on the number of people in the meeting, so you can choose what scenery you want if you want to do that. And so that's one thing. I don't see a lot of people using it, though it's fun to use it. Um, I think it makes it more um, more friendly and more fun sometimes. So that's where also you will see on top all the people who turn on their camera, so you can eventually change the way you want to see it. Do you want to see on top or on the right? That's where you're gonna play with large gallery at the top, and also you can switch to full screen if you really want to take all the full screen, and yet then you'll see all the all the videos in full screen that will take less place, especially if you have a laptop. Maybe it's better to do that. Um, so that's one thing. This is to say everything is encrypted, so it's protected. Here you can see the participant, so that's how you can see who's in the meeting. Pretty quickly, you have access to all the people. You can eventually, that's where you can change if you have different people, you can, and they're not speaker, you can set them to be speakers so they can share the screen, for example. Also, the chat window is important, so you might want to leave the chat window open to see what questions are coming and what comments are coming. It's good to, at least when you want to talk and when there's a big crew in the meeting, to use the hand raised. So you raise your hand and it will show to everybody that you're raising your hand. You will see here who raised his hand. You will see all the people who raised the hand. It's sorted by the order of who started first to raise the hand. And you can easily turn it off when you're finished. Uh, and you can react if somebody's saying something interesting. You can, like what they say. So there's a different way to do that. This is a breakout rooms. I'm not going to go there, but if you have to split the meeting in different breakout rooms, you can play with that. This is obviously the video, the microphone, and the share screen. So there's several things you can share with the presenter mode, where you can, while you're sharing, you're in front or just on the side of what you're sharing, and you can share a lot of content. I'm not going to describe that. There's a lot of videos that I discuss that. What I wanted to first say, raise your hand when you're in big group before you're going to ask a question, because a lot of time people are talking over each other and we don't hear anything and we're not sure, and it's really disruptive. So it's better if you can raise your hand before talking, especially when you have a lot of people in the meeting. Also, second thing, open the chat. I think that's the most important thing, is to open the chat to follow what are the side discussions. Sometimes you're not aware, and what's really important is to understand these three little dots. There's a lot of features here. So here you can say, I don't want to show chat bubbles. So if you, by default, I don't know how it's going to be set up in your environment, but by default, if you don't have that activated, you won't see a bubble every time there's a chat. It can be very annoying to see chats coming all the time while you're talking, so it's better to have that on the side and don't show the chat bubbles for less disruption. But if you're following, if you're not a speaker, maybe you want to show the chat bubbles. Um, you can mute notification if you don't want to receive notification every time somebody is saying something. And there's a lot of features that that meeting options. I think it's important if you want to, by put people in the lobby before they join. You can also block microphones. If you're in a wide audience, you might want to block the microphone for attendees, at least at the beginning. You can also, if you see there's some people who don't have appropriate background, or then you can block the camera too. You can even block the chat. If you want to be focused during the meeting, then you can block the chat. There's several options. You can disable or allow just the chat during the meeting. So when you disable, it's interesting because even after the chat, after the meeting, they won't be able to chat after the meeting. So you might want to end with disable just to stop the chat after the meeting. And there's other options. I'm not going to go into that. One thing that is really really annoying. I've been in so many meetings, even with people who are very skilled in Teams, and we can hear some noise around them, like the doorbell, a dog barking, the lawnmower, whatever noise, a kid coming. So my advice is to go really in the settings of the device and switch here noise suppression to I. So it will cancel all the noise around you. And so you still have the noise, you will still listen to the noise. So it will be annoying for you, but not for the other people. So that's really key to activate that all the time. I will say all the time and on high, just to be sure. So that's another feature that is really important. What else? A plan background effect. So I think it's better to have a background effect. Try to find something professional. If you don't show your background, that show your privacy. So that show you where you're working. If it's messy, it's not really. I don't think it's very good for you. Um, in general, it's just a matter of privacy. Don't use background that are not appropriate. You're not on vacation. You're not on the beach. You might want to do it when it's a fun meeting, but usually don't use it. And blur background is an option also. But if somebody is moving behind you, people will see this motion. So it's better just to use a background image, and you can upload your own background image. So it's really up to you. We have some corporate background image. Why did I turn off the video? So decide which one you like the most. You can change the background whenever you want. You can change it live, so it's really easy. So these three little dots are very important for device settings, for the noise. And also sometimes, especially for me, for example, it's hard to always understand what people are saying. And so you can either turn on live captions. So turn on live captions, you will see people talking and you will see a transcript of what they're saying with their name. So it will help you to capture what has been said, but it won't save it. If you want to save it, you need to turn on the transcription. And then when you turn on the transcription at the end, so it will send a notice to everybody that you turn on the transcript. And at the end, you will have the transcript in a file. So you won't have to take notes during the meeting. It's really, I think, very important to use that. I will say you should set it up by default. I think by default, when you're recording, the transcripts are turned on. You can turn them off, but that's very, very handy to come back on the meeting and see what has been said. If you missed something, or if you were not in a meeting, you don't want to go over all the video, but read through the transcripts, who said what, when. So that's pretty useful. And you can stop them whenever you want if it's needed. So what else? Also, when you have a low bandwidth, I recommend either first try to turn off the incoming video. So if you have a lot of people, that will decrease the use of bandwidth. and eventually turn off your own video, your own camera to avoid that to use too much bandwidth. And Microsoft Teams is doing a very good job to manage the bandwidth for audio, so it doesn't take a lot of bandwidth with audio. So if you have a bad network, it will almost always work if you have audio on. If you turn on video, then it's more complicated. So those are a few tips in meetings, some recommendations. There are other recommendations in terms of behavior that I posted already on my YouTube channel, but those one are, I think, very important. I will say, the first one is turn on noise suppression. It's really key. Take the habit to raise your hand. Um, Take the habit to look at the chat. That's that's important, and turn on the transcript or the live captions to be able to follow what has been said, and you won't miss anything. If you're multitasking, for example, that might be useful to have access to the transcripts. Hope this was helpful.